Hi, my name's Geoff Parton. I'm the author of Life's Choices. You'll find that an interesting book. It's about some of the strange things that have happened in my life, and also about where we're going and why we're here. But today I want to talk to you, or at least read, a little article I've written about bullying. And people are talking about bullying a lot today, and it's a good thing, because in my day it was sort of just wasn't talked about really. Today they are talking about it, and people are trying to do things about it and trying to understand why it happens. But I'll give you my thoughts on it. When I was a young boy, I felt constantly intimidated because of my overbearing, bullying father. I was shy, and I kept away from even the smallest decision making really. In those days, in the 1950s, children were expected to be seen and not heard. It's just how it was. When people intimidate you, whether it's your parents or in this case my father, your personality becomes squashed and depressed. As far as I was concerned, I felt there was no way out. I didn't even realise that there was another way, really at all. I just thought that's how things were. And a child doesn't know anything different really, they just accept things as they are. Before I started school, I was constantly bullied. So when I started school, I felt intimidated by the other children. Not all of them, but quite a lot of them. I felt that the ones that were better looking or had nicer push bike or whatever, better haircut, better clothes, which to be fair, almost all of them did have, they were better than me. That's what I thought. I thought they were better. And the reason I thought they were better wasn't really like that. It was that I felt that I wasn't as good. And the reason for that feeling was because I had been told that all my life, drummed into me. You're no good. You're useless. Many other things. I was left in the background really all the time. This happens to people that aren't allowed to express themselves, or are told constantly that they are stupid, or as my father's favourite expression was, you're a boneheaded bastard. This type of verbal bullying intimidates and stops the personality growth. It's such a shame really, because you're unable to do what you came here to do. You know, we all have a life, we all have reasons for being here, but we have to be ourselves, and we just can't be ourselves if we're told all the time that, you know, you're under the thumb, you're no good, you're stupid, you're useless. The strange thing was that when I went to school eventually, I copied my father. Now my father was a godlike figure, if you like, and I don't mean that in a biblical sense either, but whatever he said was law in our house, and disobedience was just, forget it, you just didn't do it. So, you know what they say about, give me the child for the first 7 years and I will give you the man. Because that first 7 years of bringing up a child is the most impressive years for a child. As an adult, I know that children, although they may have similar genes, are not little duplicates. They are their own being and have their own spirit and soul, and that makes them very much individuals. Parents, when they're bringing them up, need to realise that they're here as guardians for a new person on the planet, basically. They're here as guardians and guidance teachers, if you like. And that's all they're here for. They're not here to control or to mould. I know that you have to guide, and there's a line there somewhere between control and guidance. So, when I went to school at the age of 6, I found that everybody seemed superior in some way, especially the teachers. I thought they were just almost like army regulators. And the other kids, I just found it really difficult to get along with them because they were all, most of them were confident, and I wasn't, because I'd had my little personality squashed altogether, and it hadn't even started to grow. It has now. It's okay now. It's all over. So this is another thing that the bullied or the victim need to understand, that you will get over all this. You get over it. It's challenging, but that's building, spirit building, if you like. Or okay, I was always afraid that the teachers, when they hauled me up, said stand up, called out my name, I was so afraid that they were going to treat me like my father did. They were going to hit me. And to be fair, they still used the cane then, but I was more concerned with getting, beaten up. And of course that didn't happen, but I didn't realise that wasn't going to happen. I just wanted to be left alone. I didn't want any attention brought to me at all. I wanted to stay in the background because I was fearful. I remember once the teacher called out, every day this happened, the teacher went through and they had what they call roll call, and the teacher would go, you'd start off the left side of the front row, working its way to the right, and then the next row, and then everybody, he called their name off the roll, and you would say, present sir, present sir, or here sir. And I got so apprehensive about and fearful about when it was coming to my turn that I would have to call my name. God, I don't know why looking back, but anyhow, it was like that. And I knew that when he called my name, the next person would be this other girl that sat next to me, which was really funny. So when he did call my name, I called out her name. Why, I don't know. But it brought all the unwanted attention on me again. All the kids turned around and looked at me and glared at me and started to laugh. And I can tell you, I just shrunk. I felt this big. It was awful. And all this comes from someone bullying you. The repercussions of being bullied are just amazing. And I think that respect is something that you get over this. You've got to have respect. You have to give respect, and you have to have respect given to you. You have to earn it, I think, but we all deserve it, and we all have to have it. We need it. In fact, if all the countries in the world had more respect for each other, there wouldn't be the issues going on now. So respect is probably one of the key words in society. We often respect rich people, but it's not really like that at all. We don't really respect them. We just respect that they got more money than us, but that's not really respect. Respect has nothing to do with material things. Yeah, anyhow. I keep going back to when I was at school, all the strange things that happened to me, but I won't bore you with them really. But I did write this little article on it, but I'm sort of talking to you about it now. But bullying's a big issue. The two that I see, when you look in the playground at school and you see two children playing, and one is being bullied by the other, the first thing that comes into your head is to reprimand the bully. But that's right to a degree, I get that, but the bully needs probably more attention than the bullied, because he or she really has the bigger problem. It's just like that, you know, just the bully almost always comes from a family where they've been bullied. All they're doing is repeating or copying the steps of their first teacher, which is their father or mother or both. So they need help. Bullies go on. If they don't get stopped, they go on. They go on from school. They go on into certain jobs. They even choose certain jobs that they can throw their weight around in. You often think, oh, some of the police, and I won't single out the police, but some of the police are bullies. Why are they bullies? Because they're police? Probably not. They're police because they were bullies, and that job suits them. They can throw their weight around a bit. It takes someone in managerial position to be a real person, to understand the difference between force and power. Forcing someone to do something does never work. Power, asking and persuading, that's power. That works. When I was at school, I started bullying because I couldn't get back to my father. He was bullying me. He was way too big. So when I got to school, I didn't know anything about this. I just did it. We used to have, coming in for lunch, they had two bells. They'd ring one bell and you had 5 minutes to come up to the school, in front of the school, and form an assembly line. And then the other bell would ring, second bell, and we'd all march in. And invariably, when that second bell rang, I and another kid always wanted to be at the head of the queue. Now, I don't know why I really wanted to be there. I have no idea. I do now, because I was a bit of a bully, because I copied my father. And I was prepared to fight anyone that stood there. This is in primary school. I was like 6 or 7, 8, that sort of age. And I was prepared to fight anybody to be at the front of that queue. I was in trouble all the time. And I didn't know what it was. And yet, overall, on the other side of me, I was really super shy. It's just a conundrum. It really is. Anyhow, when I wrote this book here, this Life's Choices book, I get into this a bit, not about bullying so much, but about stepping out of your box. We all have restrictions in our mind that we think that's as far as we can go. oh, I couldn't go any further than that because I won't be able to do it. Well, that's nonsense. In the book I say, don't step out of your box. I said, jump out of it. You will be surprised the doors will open. And never be fearful of going much further than you think you can, because you'll surprise yourself, believe me. Life's an adventure, you know. Life is a play, and we come here on this planet, we're born, and then we leave. They call it death, but it's not death really, because you go off to the spirit world. But while we're here, we're in the biggest of world plays. But the beautiful thing about it is we make up our own lines as we go. So we can go as far as we choose to go. Everybody has that choice, and that's what that book's about, life's choices. Everybody can do it. It's down to the individual how far we go, what lines we write for our part in the play, because it is only a stage. And when we realise that it's only a stage and only a play, then we don't take things quite as serious in our mind's eye. And we realise that we say, oh well, you know, that didn't work today, but it's only a play anyhow. Because remember, you can't take any of this stuff with you. You can only take the wisdom gained. So step out, jump out. Now, I could tell you lots of little stories here about my first kiss. Nice little girl I met, and I was about 11 or 12, and I was so shy. We'd been playing together and staying at these people's houses for 2 or 3 days, and my mother came to pick me up, and I really wanted her to be my girlfriend, but I was too shy to even let her know I liked her. And I felt desperate to tell her. But when the time came, I said goodbye and walked away. And I went down the driveway and sat in Mum's car waiting for Mum to come to drive us away. And while I was waiting, I looked up the driveway and I saw her standing there. This kid's about 11 years old, right? But I was about 11 or 12 anyhow. And something just drove me. I got out of the car and I was like pushed along by this invisible hand. I ran up the driveway. I had no idea what I was doing, what I was going to do. I just, in an instant, I had my arms around her and I kissed her. And it was my first kiss. And I ran back to the car nearly as fast as I ran up. But I didn't say anything to her. I didn't say, I love you, I like you, I'll see you later, nothing. I just ran away as quick as I ran up. But I remember her smiling, and I can still see her smiling now. That was a lovely little story. When I was about 16, I left school early, you see, and when I was 16, I got a job with a man who used to own a brick truck. And he was a real hard worker, and I used to have to get up real early and go to work and work really hard. But he treated me so differently to my father. He made me work hard, but he treated me like an equal. He spoke to me properly. He didn't bully me. He encouraged me, and that was the difference between force and power. And I only worked for him for about 6 months, but in that time he started to break my mould, and he was great, you know, he was really great. I'll never forget him. Great guy. He passed away not so long ago. It was such a shame. But there it is. Life goes on, and really, as I've just explained, he's only just left the stage. So all these things that we have on the stage, like our car, our house, our boat, or whatever, you think they're only props. They're props in the play. Now, when I was 14, and looking back, it's just like the kids today. When I was 14, I was introduced to alcohol and beer. And I found, like the kids do today, because there's no difference, I found that if I had a drink or two, I got a bit of confidence. And of course it wasn't confidence, it's what they call Dutch courage, really. It's nothing. But we think it's confidence because we get more relaxed and we're likely to say something that we wouldn't say normally. So drinking became a habit, and whenever I wanted to be more relaxed around a girl or more confident around anybody really, I would have a drink or two. So that wasn't a good thing. And I guess today, I think the same thing applies with kids today. Only difference is they take it probably a little bit further with drugs, which is just absolutely terrible. But see, what I'm saying is so many of these things lead back to the way we're controlled or forced when we're kids or when we're really young. And it's bullying. It comes back to bullying. Bullying has a lot to answer for, I can tell you. Anyhow. You know, there's an old saying, big people, no, I'm not talking about stature here, big people never think they're big. Small people never think they're small. Yep. So, a bully, one of the things a bully does, he'll bully all the time if the bullied or the victim allows it. The one thing that has to happen is the victim has to stand up to them. That has to happen. When you stand up to the bully doesn't appear as strong as he wants to. And they aren't strong because they need help as well. But what the bully does, typically what a bully does, is if he can't get his way with bullying you because you've stood up to him, he will then start to ridicule you behind your back and talk about you behind your back, because that's the next stage. That's what they do. So be prepared for that when you get over this bullying thing, that you approach the bully or stand up. Don't be afraid, because they're nowhere near as strong as they appear. Good luck with the bullying. Thank you.